One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you tell which thing is not like the other before I finish my song?
Electric Man. Not content with sticking with the tried and tested conversions of old suspense movies, iPop expands their horizons and throws us out a curveball and gives us a 3D-ified edition of what you might call a localized niche indie film, Electric Man. Although it's always fun to rediscover forgotten oldies, this is probably the most progressive and forward-thinking use of 3D conversion. What a great way to liven up a local film community and give their work a broader reach. Not to mention just making it a more engaging experience. Take this phone conversation, which is a lot more dramatic with this old-fashioned receiver bubbling out at us. Not to mention these boots strongly protruding out. They look like they can kick. As is the case with most no-budget movies, this strongly leans towards being a talking heads affair in front of plainish walls and rooms. However, to its credit, this one does try hard to create interesting shots with what they have. Here we find an interesting Hitchcock-style overhead shot that, when in stereo, turns the room into a bit of a maze with tangible barriers. This one shot from a kid's perspective when running through the crowd must have been a nightmare to convert, as every frame shifts position due to its shaky camera. And they actually converted each and every frame of the sequence. Though I applaud the effort, I can't imagine the time invested to make this happen. When it comes to the cityscape, the stereographer happily seems to ditch realism and go for the fun, providing us with a nice hyper-stereo look when giving us these vistas, enhancing the beauty shots of city parks and castles. Yes, this was made in the sovereign nation of Scotland. Oh, maybe not. Well, hail Britannia. I'm sure that's not a sensitive subject at all. I guess it's one of those places that never tears a building down. Of course, everything is made of stone here, which must be a bit hard to carry away, not like here where wooden shacks fly away whenever the sky farts. I particularly like this brief shot of them running down this bridge. The stereo shows us the drop on the other side to be massive. Yet, in the next instant, we see them leaping over the barrier and surviving. There are some beautiful other roadway shots showing the road stretch on forever into the background. This tunnel in particular was a delight to see. It's a shame the movie didn't have more excuses to use it, but it's the sort of setting that you'd imagine they would have chosen if they had originally set out to make a 3D movie. Much of the movie centers around this comic book shop, which have broad street-facing windows. The reflections were a point of fascination with me. For the most part, they're handled fairly well, with reflections that frequently look genuine. I couldn't always tell if they made an effort to address the reflection or if my brain was ignoring the imperfections. Now, you can't really appreciate a Scottish show without a taste of its natural drink, which I'm told is this. Oh no. What a bitter creamsicle. Like they fed a cow oranges and I'm drinking its piss. Okay, now, there were many examples of what you might call outline wobble and some unnatural splatting. Here, for example, you'll notice the actor's nose unnaturally stretches and doesn't conform to any particular perspective. It wasn't everywhere, but it did pop up. Of course, maybe that's just my head after drinking that brew. One moment of interest is this shot, where it seemed to me the actor was brought unnaturally forward. He should be behind that person, but the 3D space felt like they were sharing the same Z line. It also might be the actor was standing closer than he was in the other angle of this shot, perhaps creating an expectation that he should be further away. Now, that wouldn't be the fault of the conversion, but a rare example of 3D exposing inconsistencies between shots. The opening is a fantastic little comic collage introducing us to the comic that is central to the story, a mini copy of which is included in the fantastic deluxe package. Of course, any discussion of eye pop wouldn't be complete without looking at these extras. What I like about eye pop is that you are never just buying a movie, but a packaging experience. This is made to be displayed, and it's just a joy to get in the mail, open up, and compare with the other editions. Anyone who considers themselves a collector should want to get these deluxe editions. Why do I keep sipping on it? Story-wise...
Got a vodka orange, mate.
Well, it's the kind of movie you have to meet halfway. You have to want to understand it. You have to want to enjoy it. And certainly don't watch it with your cynical friend who prides himself in finding the world's faults. The opening titles suggest a superhero action movie, and although it has a bit of running around, even a few bike stunts, it's mostly a talking movie, and it seems to be spinning a dynamic similar to what is found in the British TV show The IT Crowd, only in a comic shop. The dialogue, felt like a shaky table read. It never quite descends into the clueless madness of something like The Room, but you do have to give the movie, again, a little slack to appreciate it. It ambitiously tries to juggle multiple antagonists into a kind of Maltese Falcon drama. Perhaps too ambitiously, I found some motivations hard to accept. But then again, it got me thinking, sometimes holding on to probability blinds us to what is really happening. For example, for those who ever watched the show Seinfeld, the guy who played George at first couldn't understand his character because the decision-making made no sense to him, the actor. Then he learned much of it was based on little tidbits pulled from the actual life of the producer, Larry. And who was Larry? He was someone who thought in a different way, walked a different path, and as such, stepped in piles no one even knew existed. But the essence of Larry was worry, fear, and panic over things most of us overlook. And I think that's the key to this movie. You have to let go of "this isn't what I'd do" and let your inner Larry out. You have to imagine everyone involved in the mad, Larry-like overthinking panic with super tunnel vision. Improbable? Perhaps. But improbable is the difference between a diary and a story.